Hi, in this episode, I will show you the easiest way to remove the intake manifold, how to clean it properly, and most importantly, what the secret is to full intake manifold sealing in the BMW E60 and E61. There will be some information about gaskets, the throttle body, and the EGR valve. I will also tell you what serious mistake not to make, and how to ensure full sealing of the entire system, which has a huge impact on stable engine operation. Without any talking, I am getting to work. We will start from the very beginning. First, we need to access the intake manifold itself. I will show you which components to remove and in what order to do it quickly and easily. I'm starting with removing the plastic covers for the cabin filters. First, unclip the metal latch located right here and then turn the single screw that I've just highlighted on the screen. For this, you'll need a size 13 socket. The bolts are quite delicate, so you have to be careful not to break them. Remove the cover on the other side in exactly the same way. Then take off the seal that protects the interior from water. It's not screwed in, you just need to slide it off. Next, unscrew the bolts holding the lower cabin filter housing located right here. For this, you'll need a standard Phillips bit, a PZ2. Next, disconnect the plastic piece that connects both sides. You need to pull it toward yourself while standing on the right side of the car. Right after that, remove the plastic drain channels that seal the edges on both sides. This will give you space to take out the lower part of the cabin filter covers, which I'm removing on the screen now after unscrewing 2 additional plastic bolts with a 13 mm socket, just like in the earlier step. Finally, remove the last 2 plastic covers on the right and left sides. After that, you can take off the engine support bar, which is held by 4 Torx T30 bolts. All of them are easy to reach and they come out very smoothly. Now I remove the 7 screws of the acoustic cover. All of them are located in the marked spots, and to get them out, you'll need a size 5 Allen bit. On some engine versions, these screws may be Torx 25 or 30 depending on the model. Once all the screws are out, I unscrew the oil filler cap and take off the cover. After putting the parts aside in a safe place, I screw the oil filler cap back on. At this moment, on the screen, you will see a bit more space here, where I was also replacing the air filter, but all of that is covered in a separate video. As for removing the intake manifold itself, none of these components need to be removed. The next stage is the second part of the disassembly. To remove the intake manifold, you need to unscrew quite a lot of mounting bolts, and in a moment, I will show you exactly how to do it so that the part does not crack from stress. So first, I loosen all the intake runner studs that connect to the engine block, but I don't remove them yet. This prevents unwanted stress on the rest of the assembly. Then, I do the same with the bolts hidden deeper inside. I loosen each one first, and only when the manifold separates evenly from the block will I remove all the bolts completely. Next, I disconnect the throttle body electrical connector. To do this easily, you need to press both sides inward. Then, it will slide out with almost no resistance. I continue with the EGR cooler hose area where there is a clamp band that I loosen. This allows us to remove the intake manifold together with the throttle body and the EGR valve without taking each part apart separately. Next, I disconnect the pressure sensor plug on the manifold. Right below it, there is another electrical connector hidden a bit deeper. I unplug that one as well. I also remove the bolt that holds the dipstick tube in place. On the right side, there is a vacuum hose that controls the swirl flaps in this model. I disconnect it by sliding the end off the fitting. Finally, I remove the clip from the main air duct and pull the duct off firmly in this direction so the whole assembly can be released. At this stage, the entire unit can be taken out of the car in one piece without any problem. I will now take care of cleaning the entire intake manifold, especially the areas where the gaskets are located, because they have the biggest impact on smooth engine operation. In addition, in my manifold, the previous owner installed swirl flap blanks, but the quality of these blanks is insufficient. They are slightly too small, which allows unmetered air to get inside and causes unstable idle. For this reason, I will replace the blanks with completely new ones of the correct size. First, I unscrew all the old blanks one by one, remove them from their seats, and set them aside as they will no longer be needed. After preparing access, I take the opportunity to clean all the seats from excess carbon buildup, dirt, and any other elements that could interfere with proper sealing. Please, if you can spare 2 seconds to click like under this video, it will be a huge support for my work. Thank you. At the same time, at this stage, I also clean the throttle body and the EGR valve. If it is visible that they are dirty, stuck with carbon buildup, and need some attention, it is worth taking care of it right away. Coming back to the intake manifold itself, I lightly lubricate the new swirl flap hole blanks with a small amount of fresh engine oil. This procedure means that, due to the mineral components contained in the oil, the gasket hardening process will take a bit longer, which makes the sealing of this connection more durable. After tightening all the bolts and removing the excess oil, I turn the entire manifold over and move on to the gaskets at the connection with the engine block. I remove all the old gaskets, which are already several years old and hard as a rock. Next, I carefully clean every corner from all the dirt that has been building up there for years. In this area, I never use metal tools because they can chip the edge, and that is very difficult to repair in a place like this. Of course, this kind of cleaning takes some time, but it is really worth doing it once and doing it properly. I have a new set of gaskets here, which I take out of the package and also lubricate with a small amount of engine oil to extend their life a bit. Then I install them one by one. Near the bolts, there are smaller gaskets. They are less important, but still relevant. I do not have a new set, so the only thing I do is remove them and lubricate them with oil to slow down the hardening and drying of the rubber. Then I put them back in their place. Next, it is time for the round gaskets at the ends of the intake channels. I remove them very carefully using a sharp pick, making sure not to damage the plastic housing. With a piece of a damp cloth, I try to clean the inside of the guide, constantly remembering not to break it because it is another place that is very difficult to repair if something cracks. After preparing each opening, I lightly lubricate the new gaskets, just like we did with the previous rectangular ones, and insert them into their place, making sure they fit properly. With the intake manifold prepared this way, I take it back to install it under the hood. Before I tighten the intake manifold back in place, I thoroughly clean the engine block at the gasket contact surface, and only then do I set the manifold onto its position. While everything is still loose, I first reconnect all the plugs and hoses at the back, because this gives me a bit more room for my hands. Then I reconnect all the components at the front, such as the electrical connectors, the EGR cooler hose, the throttle channel, and the oil dipstick bracket. At the end, I tighten the entire intake manifold evenly using a torque wrench, making sure not to exceed the maximum tightening torque, because these are delicate components and you must not overdo the amount of force. Now, a very important piece of information, because I will show you how to take care of proper turbocharger operation. Here is the vacuum sensor, and based on data from its operation, the car responds to the throttle as it should, or it accelerates slowly like a turtle. It is worth cleaning this sensor from time to time, especially if you have a car with the Euro 4 emission standard. It is very simple, and it can add a few, sometimes even several horsepower, which means noticeably better acceleration and lower fuel consumption. After this stage, assembling all the remaining components is just a formality, and you will handle it without any problem, so I will not record it. At the very end, we will check how the engine sounds after the complete intake manifold sealing procedure. I will start the car now. At this point, I invite you to watch the next material about a complete rebuild of the glow plug system in this armoured car.